Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, live show number 483. I'm your host, Lauren Gray. Thank you so much for joining us from around the world, 209 countries. Our TV channel is located in, or broadcast in, I should say. And what I mean by TV channel, I mean TV channel. It's on your TV, your Google TV, your Apple TV, your Amazon TV, your Roku TV, Samsung, LG, all smart TVs. Look for the Hospitality channel. The live show is always on the free side of the gateway. We have a paid gateway for more content, but that's not the conversational topic today. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is watching us simulcasting on Facebook pages of several associations and corporations and people that are supportive of us. Also to YouTube channels. We're usually a group of cast of characters for all of that. We are not on X because of the cesspool that it is. And we've moved everybody off of that to follow us on other. We have Twitch. You can follow us on Twitch and on LinkedIn, on our profile on LinkedIn as well. Lauren Gray HDM or CHDM is my profile on LinkedIn. You're more than welcome to follow us there as well. Well, it is November 8th. We are past the decision point of this week, and we are left with the results of that. Good, bad, different, whichever side you are on either of that conversation. I think I've made my position clear on that, and this is not a political show. But with what happened with the politics of the election and its outcome and so forth, I always see it through the optics of what we do each day, which is marketing. Marketing is communication. Marketing is the ability to convey what you want other people to know in a mass way, or even on a one-on-one way, actually. The magic of marketing is actually talking to an individual, even though you're talking to a group of people at the same time. That's getting into a different direction. What I would like to predicate today's topic about is about lessons learned from the election. What is your base? And this is not a political discussion. This is a marketing discussion. This is marketing for hospitality discussion, the show's core value. And this exercise will happen, and it'll be dissected and reviewed. That's the beauty of hindsight. Is it gives us time to tear apart pieces and follow threads and see what happened from certain actions and hopefully learn from those in many ways of things. But one thing that I think from our first impression of how I saw what was happening up to the election in the United States, for all my international friends, I know you're aware of the election and you all have your own elections. This is applicable to most election processes. So translating that to a marketing message for our hotels and resorts is what we're really pointing out to today now. So the lessons from what I've learned of the election and the dissecting of the initial impact of how I saw it playing out, what I was concerned with, and how things were going prior to the decision, and then post-decision, the results from that, is that it's a letter of caution to us as marketers. There's nothing wrong with what we do. It's to the degree that we do it that I'm raising question of. And what I'm referring to is chasing the people that have yet to discover us, that have yet to purchase something from us, the markets that we've yet to conquer or engage in and so forth, and forgetting our base. The base is why we're built. Why is our hotel in its existence? Why is it located where it's at with the branding that it is, branded by choice or brand that you've created? And who is it that enjoys it? Our base. And if you get too complacent with thinking that your base is fine, okay, I'm going to pursue where I want to build business from. What it does create is an opportunity for you to lose portions of your base, or outwardly all of your base in some ways, to another competitor who recognizes the opportunity. I think I'm famous for movie analogies, well, analogies in general. Out of Top Gun, the leave your wingman, never leave your wingman scenario. Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, felt that they were secure with what they just did. I'm going to go after my target because it's going to benefit me for doing that. And he left the person he should have been with to ensure that they were still working as a team. And lo and behold, not only did he lose there, he lost elsewhere. So that whole leaving behind what you should be maintaining is the lesson for today that I want to talk through. We are so infatuated with growth. Our ownerships and our management companies are always driving that every month should be better than the previous. A very unrealistic expectation. Yes, it can happen because of patterns of business. And yes, certain months can be better. The real measurement is the success of the similarities of the time that you're at versus the same time last year. Even that has variable value because the circumstances of what's happening this year will be different than the circumstances that happened during the same time last year. Case in point, the decision we just went through the election. This year, this November, will be different than 2025's November. Why? Because there'll be different influences on the market. I'm not trying to say good or bad, just different influences. There'll be different conditions surrounding our market at that point. There may be more international things. There may be more environmental things. There may be more financial things. Whatever it is, it will be different. And not so much that it's just because of the election we went through domestically in the United States. That's a big effort to show the difference. Every year is different. What we look for is the similarities, the consistencies, the patterns, so that we maintain those relationships. And that's where we can learn the lesson from the recent election, is when you assume that you have a base that's not going to leave and you pursue with all your effort and something else, the base, as happy as they may have been with you, or maybe neutral with you as to the product quality, your location, things like this, begin to feel that they are not being featured, taken care of, or prioritized the way that they feel they should be valued. And so they begin to consider options. They're not looking for the options. They're just thinking, well, I see all these ads about the hotel that I love going to, talking about these other things that they are trying to features that I don't really like, okay, or that aren't my driving force of going there. And now I'm getting concerned that those driving features that they see in the advertisement might dilute what I appreciate about this particular hotel or resort, that it might change what I think the hotel is to me. And then they can say, well, what other hotels would be equitable that might be the same? I mean, as loyal as we may be for the value that we have in our hotels, our service levels, our location or familiarity, whatever like that, all of that is transitional to having it replaced with something else. And that transfers to them. That at that point, that's the familiar place. That's the place that they appreciate. That's the place that they like. It can happen in multiple ways. Your staffing changes, your concept changes, your marketing is focused elsewhere. You may feature aspects of what you're pursuing that don't settle well. And we're going to see that, I think, more in the next few years. There's going to be a lot of personal preference. I won't say political, but that's the best way to define it, as to how they associate themselves with businesses that they feel are more in sync with how they feel, whether it's political affiliation or not, but maybe just their preferences on travel standards. So I think of family versus non-family is the most generic, politically correct way of referring to things like that. Those that don't want to be around a lot of children don't want to stay at hotels that feature their family packages. We've talked about marketing strategy where, in order to improve the base of some hotels, they get a lot of people that come in that don't have families, but now they're advertising for families and thinking that that's going to benefit them because it's a market of something they can get. And it actually deteriorates their base of people who don't want to be at a hotel or resort that is so family centric, not just because they don't want to. That missing the base, what are you doing to maintain your base, is important. Now, that's not to say that you pander to the base only and that you don't pursue other variations. That's not the point of the conversation. The real point of the conversation is that you don't forget your base in how you present your product to others. That means inclusivity. It means value proposition. Let me equate this to a way of identifying and valuing the relationships that you have existed. So a few years back, I was working with a particular resort, and they were looking to establish a membership program. And I said, first, that before we establish a membership program for what we wanted to do, let's look at what a loyalty recognition program would look like. It's an independent hotel, so they didn't have the brand's version of this, which is just a frequency program. And what I recommended was that we look historically for the past year, two if we want to, but really the last year, and define certain categories of people that we identify as being valuable to us. And those are people that had a frequency over a certain threshold. At the time we said 5. People that spend a certain amount of money. At the time we said over 10,000. and people that were both. So we made like a quadrant chart. People that spent a lot of money with us, people that spent a lot of time with us, people that did both. Quadrant chart. Everybody in the upper three sections, we identified. And what we did was we created a membership program that is the inversion of what most people have. Most membership programs, which are more than just, or there's frequency programs, even anything you see out there, the Expedias and everything like this, is a frequency-based program with an incentive built at the end. Meaning, if you do all the things we're asking you to do at the level we want you to do them, we'll reward you with a value proposition. What makes those diminutive is that usually the value proposition isn't enough for the effort. I'll give you a free bottle of water every time you check in. If you turn into one of our premium members, blah, 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 whatever that, 10 time visits of the year or something like that, it's not worth the squeeze. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. There's an analogy for you. So what I proposed to them was instead you make a tiered program showing good value for each tier. So each tier isn't bad. It's just the one is better than the other and one is better than both. And you give without condition the benefit of the best program to these people. The ones first, you acknowledge that you spent a lot of money and a lot of time with us. We appreciate and value you. Here is your reward, which guarantees whatever we gave them about the discounts and the value proposition of late checkouts, all the things we bundled together to be the premier relationship program. Here it is. The caveat, simple for you because you've already done this, this is why you're receiving this, is that you have to be here. You have to come a certain number of times to continue enjoying this benefit. Here's our tiers. If you come this many times, you get the base level. You come this times, you get the secondary level. You come this many times, you get the third level. We didn't base it on dollar spent, obviously. Problems with that legally. But from a frequency reward program, most certainly. To maintain it. And we made sure that they thoroughly enjoyed it. First off, they felt good that they were recognized, which created more of a loyalty relationship. They already had a loyalty relationship because of the very criteria that we assigned to give this to them. And then they felt indebted to continue that relationship. They may have begun to consider from all of their visits with us that maybe another resort or hotel that was in proximity for whatever price difference or amenity differences might come under consideration. But we solidified and reduced that option for them because of our acknowledgement and reward for them. For the people that were related to the tiers below, same thing. We then took the people that came with us the most, people that spent the most with us as a reward for them. It wasn't the criteria for them to continue it. It was just the acknowledgement of why they received it. Same thing. Here is your level of reward. We featured them and you get it for a year. And if you want to maintain it, which we hope you do, all you have to do is come back at this level. So that we've given them the value proposition before telling them that they have what they have to do to earn it. Very successful. Very, very successful. We also, as a means of marketing, went over and took everybody that didn't come directly to us. So this goes back to the few years where the OTAs were a higher issue to fight against. The percentage contribution was a problem for it. Was you signed up with us via an OTA. If you book with us in the future, we are putting you into that program right off the bat, the best program. Actually, it was the second best program. Just because you went from booking where you did to booking with us. That gives you an immediate reward. Now, if you want to maintain it, you have to come as frequently as you want, as we assigned it to maintain that level. If you come more, you'll get the higher level. If you come less, you'll still get something, but it'll be a lesser level. That was hugely successful because it really solidified the transition between channel that we didn't want them to participate on perpetually to ours. And this was actually before Expedia started doing their membership program. So it was very, very successful. The other thing we did with all of those people that signed up is now we have a very strong direct communication channel with them being a part of our rewards membership relationship. And so we kept very much in tune with them. Excuse me. I mean, to sneeze. Because we had the relationship of giving them value propositions. So we were always giving them the next level of the value of what we were discussing with them, which was they always got first notice on anything we were offering at any time. If we were offering a unique deal, we give them initial opportunity to get to it first. If it was a unique value, it was guaranteed that they always had access to it. If there was an offer that had limitations, we expanded those limitations for them. Less limitations. I mean by expanding limitations, we expanded the diminishment of the limitations on it, like date drop off. We allowed the dates to extend, or if there was a value cap, we went or extended it. Those kind of things. We gave them more value to it. That fierce loyalty relationship expanded our loyalty, because then what they did was begin to share that with their friends. First off, it's a bragging reward because people love to show that they make good decisions. And the second, to go and take advantage of the fact that we're giving them this. We only had, I think, just right around 10 to 12% to remember when, of people that didn't continue the relationship the year after. And those were usually people that the year that the validation of why we gave it to them wasn't the same conditions for the following year for them, so they weren't able to maintain it. And other circumstances, family changings and so forth. But for the most part, it was hugely successful. It grew upon itself, and it grew the value of that relationship with them. We then compounded that with gift programs and gift certificate programs and redemption values and reductions of gift certificate purchases, and we expanded that relationship with them. It was a burgeoning relationship that, in one of our future shows, we're going to talk about the transitional landscape of the internet marketing to more of a traditionally based marketing, and what to plan and do for things like that. And this is one of the metrics that we'll be talking about, is the engagement of first person engagement and not third party engagement and third party access engagement. And we'll talk all about that in another show. But the idea of this kind of base relationship, this is our base. These are the people that are coming in persistently. These are the people that are spending with us persistently. These are the people that we're rewarding because of that persistently. These are the people that we're giving them value, so they're expanding our audience through word of mouth persistently. That allowed us to then go comfortably looking for other markets of people that we didn't know whether we could sell them to, but we think that we could, or we wouldn't have tried to pursue them, but also not to the detriment of our base, because our base, for lack of a better, was fat and happy. They were being taken care of. They felt that we acknowledged their value and weren't worried about losing them as easily because we simply took them for granted. That's a lesson I think that needs to be learned from the processes that happened this past week, is when you think that that's in the bag, I'm going to go chase after other stuff, you don't pay attention to the impact that effort creates on the people that are going, well, I think it's a great place. Everything's been a great place, but it really looks like they're trying to change who's coming there, because they're not talking to me anymore. They're talking to other people, their demographics, incomes, family situations, whatever. And I feel like they're not offering me the deals. They're not giving me values. They're offering a family package. I don't have a family. I always come just my wife and I. Why? Where's my offer? That little fractional things that happen is what diminishes your base. Now, let's take it out of the context of preserving your base to taking advantage of people that are not paying attention to their base. You can tell through good comp set observation that your competitors are trying to expand what they're doing and who they're expanding for. That constant comp set awareness, which a lot of hotels tend not to do. They don't keep track of the specials pages of their comp every week, and they should. Revenue managers especially should. And we have talked about a tool a couple of weeks ago in our podcast that scrapes. You set it up and just scrapes. This is the area I want to check. If it changes, let me know. And literally, it just gives you a report every day if something changes. It sends you a notification. Hey, XYZ Hotel, there was a change on their page. And you go look at it and go, oh, I'll be darned. They offered a new package. Or, oh, look, they lowered their rate. That awareness allows for these opportunities. Because if you're sitting there going, okay, my comp set, my direct competitors, my SWOT analysis identified that these two properties over here are pretty much, we draw the same people. Our variances, maybe the geography that we're exactly located in, our proximity to certain localized events and localized attractions and so forth, all those things are merited. Beach, non-beach, whatever, mountain ski versus non-ski, whatever the variations are, but we pretty much draw the same people. It's just who gets what. Fair market share, right? If you pay granular attention to their efforts, you can see where there might be these opportunities that are in reverse of what we just said, to preserve your base, ways to take them. So if their base is similar to your base and you see them pursuing a market, obviously you should know what the market is that they're pursuing and see whether you should pursue it as well with taking care of your base. But if you're looking at them going, I wonder what that impact is on the people that go there for a different reason. I wonder if I can, or not can, should solicit the idea that it's time for a change, or why we are what you come to this market for. And it might be a good time now to come to see how good we are and to see why we're as good as, or even better, hopefully, than the property that you used to go to, our competitor. And the next thing you know, while they're chasing pennies, they're losing dollars because they didn't take care of their base. They didn't acknowledge their base. They didn't reward their base. They didn't keep persistent with their base's satisfaction with them in their pursuit of other products or other people. And from that, it made them vulnerable. So here they went over and spent all this to get a new date at the market, and they lost a portion of the market that made them stably successful. Now, your job at that point is to maintain that relationship that you garnered, rewards, and just kind of the example I just gave you. Give them value. Give them an immediate reward that recognizes that they made this change and sustain it. That building of that relationship keeps them to your side of the table and has permanently taken them from the other that you were able to acquire them from. So even if your competitor succeeded in their expansion of their market, you may have taken enough of their base market that's fine. You go ahead and go for those people. I'll keep the people I know I can continue to keep happy. That division of market strategy is the nuance between your comp set and you. Is who gets what for what reason, and how you acquired them is the value proposition of how you maintain them. I know that sounds slightly prophetic, but it's actually a good statement. Worth remembering, I should say. The idea that your market is ever fluid, that value is a matter of that attention, retention is a matter of value and perspective of appreciation. That new markets aren't bad. I'm not saying stop, don't chase any new markets, just huddle on to the people, keep your sand in your sandbox. No, it's balancing what you're doing through making sure that you're maintaining who you already have. That's where it gets lost. That is the lesson from this past week. A lot of what was expected for the Democrats to maintain a margin of popularity with was turned against them. They didn't do those things. And sadly, the people they were chasing after didn't convert over to them. So not only did they lose the people that they thought they already had, they lost the people they were trying to get to. Lots of reasons. That's not the politics of our discussion today, as it is the gamble you play by being too dedicated in pursuit without the maintenance of the relationship that you have with the people that you already have. So how do you balance those two things? You have to quantify who it is you're chasing, and actually through the analysis of wanting to do it, understand what the impact would be if you were successful, or even if you weren't successful, just the optics of what you're attempting to do. That process of analysis gets lost in the politics of our relationships internally and our relationships with our third-party service providers and so forth, because agencies are a go fetch. They're not going to tell you no as easily as they'll tell you yes. They're going to think that if you want us to pursue a market, you're willing to spend more money with them. They get to do other things and charge you more money for them. And if the success isn't there, then it wasn't you, the vendor, who was the problem. It was the unsuccessful strategy of the client who told you to go to pursue them. What gets missed a lot of times in third-party relationships is the candor to tell a client it's not a good idea, or this is the impact of your idea should it go this way, that way, or this way. If you were successful, this is the impact financially and possibly retributionally against your base. If it is mediocre, then this is the result as well in those conditions. And if it goes nowhere, this is still the potential impact fallout from that. That risk analysis, remember we talked about project management? That's the risk analysis. Here's the idea. Here's the potential of it. Here's the calculation of its value and cost and everything else. And here's the risk factor for its failure. That has to be looked at. The problem is in the politics of the communication between internal teams that want to, I have a great idea and do this, or the third party people that are like, hey, you asked me to go do this. I did this. You didn't ask me whether it was good or bad, or, whether I thought it was good or bad, because nobody wants to be pinned to an idea. I think you've all heard me say the deniable culpability, close enough for credit, far enough away from the explosion for damage, if it should fail. A lot of people, that's how we base a lot of our decisions. One of the first optics most decisions go through is this deniable culpability. Can I be close enough to it to take credit, but not being blamed for the decision? This is where this spectrum comes in when you're pursuing new territory, is the risk factor of doing it and the reward factor of doing it. A lot of companies don't do projected revenue, projected costs, projected impact. Okay, that is just not the revenue potential of the conversions of the campaigns. That's a part of the discussion, but the residual of what the campaign's perception is for the people that you're already doing business with. We see that in very politically charged environments where politically aligned people mandate that they're only going to do businesses that are like-minded, that they don't cater to entities or groups of people that they consider to be not who they want to associate with. I'm sure that's going to get more blunt as time goes on. That is a factor that's going to come into more and more roundtable discussions at C-levels and exec team levels at hotels and marketing levels as to what's the optics impact of our decision. How will this be perceived by the people that we're already doing business with? How is this going to be perceived by the people we're pursuing for the audiences that they know we already have? Because remember, it's a two-way conversation. The new audiences that you're pursuing are also evaluating, well, wait a minute, I'm a family, you're trying to meet a thing, a profit, and so forth and so on. But everything I've seen historically with you is about metrosexual male, female business travelers looking for très chic common areas with high Wi-Fi and super spiffy cocktails at the bar. My kids aren't going to be at the bar with me. I'm worried about breakfasts, pool areas, grills outside maybe, and how close to the things we're there for. You're selling me a good package, but I don't think I fit into the program. There's a lot of the metric associated with this. Just because we can do it, doesn't mean we should. You can pursue markets that, yes, you could sell to, but they're not going to be comfortable in, and you've damaged the audience, that your core audience, your base audience that you already had. Now, all of this kind of goes out the window per se if you're doing a brand shift. If you're sitting here saying, you know what, I lost the market segment war. My two competitors have a newer, shinier product. I'm worn down. My audience respects the quality of the newer products. I can't solicit them with lower rates to come back because I just don't have the product viability that I'm being competed against. But I do have market segments that I can pursue that my competitors are not going after because they're getting so good at pulling the people that they are, that I can shift and go for. That change in market is a change in base. You are literally saying, hey, we'll take care of everybody that we get the opportunity to service. But based on the fact of what we're getting, we need to open up who we're going for that is more compliant to being interested in what we have to offer. That shift of base is a different circumstance. We're not going to hit it too hard. What you have to be careful of is that you don't turn too chameleonic and you shift it too often, depending upon the directions of the wind, where you're pushing non-family traffic. I'm going to harp on that example because it's the easiest politically correct way of defining differences of market interest. That you're chasing non-family market at a certain time of year, and then you flip-flop as if you never were that hotel, and it's all about families and people coming in with their kids. That's fine if the seasons change. And I say that from an example of a winter resort. You have, at times, a very strong non-family or non-younger children family, anything 13 and up kind of gets blended into an older family engagement potential, where they might come to a mountain resort and love the athletic activities, the bicycles down the hills, the long hike stuff, so forth and so on. That same resort might, for the fall time and the springtime, be more family oriented for the seasonality of being in a place that has a chance to enjoy nature. And it's not so much about screaming down the high side of the hill on a bicycle as it is about enjoying the hikes and the walks that are there, or ski seasonal, where all of a sudden it is about family skiing, that you are such a great location for family skiing. Yes, non-family will be there too, just simply because of the value proposition of the location, but they're not, your resort is mainly featuring the viability of the families being there. Okay. Maybe you offer an ancillary childcare, or have relationships with places that can provide services for families, that there's other things for them to do beyond just the skiing and so forth. Or you might be on the other end where you're an adults only without the name, where you're not catering to families, where you're talking about bar side get-togethers and hot tub parties and things like this that are social mixers that families just aren't orbited around. These variations can be subtle and useful, but depending upon the seasonality of the demand to your market. That's also not what we're talking about. We're talking about when your strategic marketing base is there to acknowledge, support, validate them, and weigh any new market penetration effort decision, not just on the merit of how much money you could make from it, but what's the optics of the people you're pursuing to what you already are doing, and more importantly, the optics of the people you already have, what they see in relationship to what you're pursuing. Some may enjoy the fact that you're trying to expand it more to being like going to the ski resort, where you're bringing in other adults because they get to see more activity around the resort, where it's more alive. Okay. Other people might be in the catharsis of that, where it's like, no, I want a quiet place where I go down to the lobby lodge with the fire crackling, and I don't have to worry about a bunch of young people drinking more than they probably should, because they don't have to drive and just go take the elevator back up to the room. And it distracts from my enjoyment of being there. These metrics of how they engage with your base and who is new and who you actually bring to your hotel or resort are the mix that you have to consider when you're talking about what you're marketing to and for, rather than just the value of the monies that are there. Because you might get them both in there, but you're not going to get the return value of them. So that one-time value, you kill the lifetime value, which you've heard me rant on many times, is the key element of the relationship building. It's just not the single purchase that you're able to acquire from them this time. It's the repetitive revenue that you get from them, that loyalty that's created from them, the frequency increase potential you have them, or the purchase value that increases from them, and also the amplification of other people that they expand your audience to that now come in and do the same thing. Those are the things that are most pursuant to what you're looking for. So I think that's the best way to describe why I think that one of the lessons, many more to come, I'm sure, from this election process. One of the lessons that I got from this election was stay in tune with your base for what they are valued for, what they want from you persistently. How do you acknowledge them? How do you reward them? How do you keep them engaged? And how your marketing strategy may or may not affect them are all considerations that have to be added into the equation of your discussion of your marketing strategy for new markets. Well, everyone, thank you for everyone that is watching me live around the world, which I always sincerely appreciate, especially given the time zones that it actually happens in. Less so now with the time shift. It's 1 hour different. Yay, but it's still sometimes incredibly late, 2 a.m. in the morning. Malaysia. Anyway. We will be discussing a couple of interesting topics I'm going to be bringing up in the next couple of weeks. Perspective marketing, which is something that's new in discussion. And also, as I mentioned before, the idea that we're kind of shifting how we get our engagement marketing. There is some discussion that the internet, its impact because of the clutter of AI content is creating issues on the data quality that we're getting from websites or from the internet in general, that there's a less reliance on it or less trust of it at the very least. And there's more traditional ways of communicating so that the authentication of the person that's marketing is easier identified. Think magazine articles, think newspapers, think TV ads per se, think DOE advertising, digital out-of-home advertising that is more proximity-based, localized, and so forth, where you can actually drive by the building that you just saw an ad for. Those things are beginning to have a larger influence on marketing strategies and budgets. And we're going to have that as a show coming up in the next week or two. So to stay tuned for that. And then, like I said before, the perspective optics of how we, out of habit, see the same things in the same way, and we need to change our perspective and also value the fact that perspective is the highest percentage of reality when it comes to what people make as a decision about you, for you, and about your competitors and so forth. So we'll get into that discussion as well. So things to look forward to. As always, thank you everyone for watching us live. You, of course, if you want more, you can reach out to me directly. If you have feedback, comments, and things like this, there's 2 ways immediately to do this. I keep offering. One is to send me an email, lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. I answer each and every email for the TV show as well as for our podcast. The other is if you want to do it audibly, just go to hdm.news/talkback. And there's a question always posed just to see what people's thoughts are about it. And also, you can just give me your comments audibly and then tell me whether I can refer to them, not refer to them, quote you, whatever. And so you can always get me back with me about that. If you want to join more of an active discussion and get help and guidance from a peer level group, we have the Hospitality Marketing Club at hospitalitymarketing.club. Put your email in. I send you a quiz, which validates that you are knowledgeable about hospitality marketing as a user, as a professional in the market, because it's a peer level group. This isn't about people that aren't doing it, that want to know more. There's plenty of trainings out there and services and what have you to give you the ABCs. This is about actively being in the role and being responsible for it, and just needing a bounce off group, that a peer group that you get to ask and listen and understand or query, and you don't have to preface it with explaining why you're asking. There's already the understanding of why you're asking the question, and it goes in its own tiers as to people that are basically in basic level conversations, and then people that are going off on the "what the heck are you thinking" part of it. Anyway, which way, it's a great club. Welcome you to join it at hospitalitymarketing.club. Don't forget also our radio station, Hospitality Radio, and you can look at that at the website hospitalityradio.com. That's a linear broadcast at 8 hours of different days. There's different content programming. We have marketing, we have meta search, we have accounting, we have operations, we have sales, different shows for different things. Great content from a variety of sources. That's always fun. Trying to think what else I'm missing for that. Oh, our app, our TV station, our TV channel is also an app. You can go on Apple iOS or Apple Play and or Google Play and Apple Store. And look for our hospitality channel, and our app is there, which is also our TV station. So you can do it on your phone as well. And our radio station is at hospitalityradio.com. And plus also on a bunch of other, iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio and so forth. They're all out there as well. So with that, my name is Lauren Gray. As always, I thank you for the privilege of your time, and I look forward to talking to you all next week.